All right, guys, I know everybody's favorite search and destroy tips. Today we're going with some advanced tips. In fact, we've gotten 10 advanced search and destroy tips to help you guys get better at Call of Duty Mobile, search and destroy, and overall dominate. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you smash that subscribe button, drop a like on today's video if you enjoy this type of content, and let me know what is your favorite map to play search and destroy on. All right, all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into tip number one. For tip number one, it is at the beginning of the game, you need to practice playing as fast as possible, or at least really quick, because you want to try and get into gunfights. You want to get into situations where you can kind of see how the enemies play. Again, you don't know the enemies, you don't know necessarily how they play. You want to kind of figure out what they like to do. So by playing a little bit more aggressive, you can learn, okay, these guys don't know how to use guns at all. They absolutely suck, and I'm tearing through them. I'm going to continue to play aggressive. Same with, okay, this player is really, really bad, but these two guys are really, really solid at gunfights. Or, okay, they play really campy, so I need to play really cautious. I need to be a little bit more aggressive, but I need to be cautious. Or, okay, these guys are way better at gunfight, like winning gunfights than I am. They're very aggressive. They're very good players. I need to play super slow, and I need to camp, and I need to use overpowered weapons. Tip number two is that you want to try and use head glitches as much as possible. Now, I'm not saying you necessarily have to camp, but what I am saying is that when you are playing and you have the opportunity to get to a head glitch, it's always really, really good, because these 1v1 gunfights or 1v2 gunfights are huge. So having that advantage going into each gunfight is going to be super, super important. Tip number three, again, if they are decent players and it's really kind of competitive where they're pretty good, but you can kill them one time, they kill you, the best thing to do is to kind of switch up the play style, right? Maybe one round you get really aggressive, the next round you slow down, the next round maybe you kind of play mid-map, and then you kind of camp, then you get super aggressive again, right? You're kind of all over the place. You kind of switch sides on where you're gonna go. So one side you go middle map, or one round you go middle map, one round you go to the far right side, then the far left side, and then on the far left you get super aggressive, on the far right you play super passive, then you switch it up, whatever, right? So playing that different play style, continuing to kind of confuse them on what you're going to do, where you're going to be, is going to kind of make it a lot more difficult for them to get into a rhythm and get comfortable. Tip number four, I'd still recommend this pretty much for every game mode and everything that you do, is that you don't want to push down the middle of the map super aggressive. You could try it, but I would just kind of, on a rule of thumb, if you're trying to win the game, you're trying to get better, I'd stay away from the middle of the map for the most part. It's just with snipers, with getting unlucky, with, you know, getting naded, with, you know, having the whole team, you know, shoot at you from the middle of the map, not having any of your teammates come to help you. Now, maybe kind of towards the end of the game when it's a little bit close, you might be able to throw that in and kind of surprise them and get a couple of kills. But overall, I would start, for the most part, to stay out of the middle of the map. Tip number five, if you guys have made it to this point in the video, comment the word nade down in the comments below, and I'll be sure to heart and respond to every single one of you. But again, tip number five is to use your nades, use your concussions, use your smokes, trophy system, whatever. You want to have these things out. There is no point in saving them for your inventory. Again, it is nice to be able to run with them, but I would highly recommend that you guys kind of just use them while you can. Take advantage. It gives you, you know, you never know, you might get an early nade kill that, you know, sets it up for a 4 versus 5, which could be really, really important. Tip number 6, look at the minimap. Looking at the minimap is so important to get information. Where are your teammates at? Where do you see enemies shooting? Where are those red dots popping up on the minimap? Is your team playing super passive and you guys are kind of losing map control? Where, you know, maybe you see a teammate moved up the left side and die, you can kind of look at your minimap, figure out where he died, and then rotate to that direction. So using the minimap is super important. I know a lot of people forget, but I would say if you can look at the minimap like a lot. Like if you looked at the minimap twice as much as you look at it now, you're going to be at a huge advantage. I'm telling you, so many people forget to look at the minimap and it costs them a lot. Tip number 7 is when you are trying to clutch around, you need to turn each in like a 1v3 into a 1v1v1, right? You need to kill the first guy, rotate. When somebody else pushes you, try and make it that they're pushing you one at a time. Again, you could do this by running around a corner and then kind of waiting, re-peeking, and then being, as soon as you get that kill, continuing to run away and kind of making them confused on where they're at. This also helps when you know where the enemies are. So camping in like a room or kind of a more open area is always a good idea, especially trying to get somewhere where they can't really push behind you if possible. So backing up to a wall, kind of getting to a corner, something like that is going to help so much. Tip number 8 is you've got to watch your corners. That's super important when you're sprinting around. Check each and every single corner. There's oftentimes people camping in corners. And how many times have you guys had it where you're running around and somebody's just in a corner, you don't check it, you run by them and they kill you? And usually it's like the worst type of player. So just be sure, check your corners, make sure you guys know where the enemies are and that your corners are safe. And the last tip I have for you is when you are trying to play a little bit more aggressive, to use your grenades, hold a grenade, use a knife, something like that, and sprint as fast as you can to a spot and then get ready.